What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Keshi Dillon. Today is December 18, 2024, which means we are less than 2 weeks away from ushering in the new year. And what a year it has been, hasn't it? I mean, one of the key themes for this year, particularly in the automotive industry, is the legacy car makers getting whooped by new car brands. And this is not something that is unique just to Malaysia. It's happening across Southeast Asia. It is happening in Australia. It is happening in a lot of other countries as well. And a lot of these newer brands are coming from China, of course. And what's been happening over here is that a lot of these new brands that we've never heard of before, something like, for example, Jaiku, are coming into the industry with cars that look really good, with features that we usually associate with more expensive cars, and then stealing sales away from legacy car makers, Honda, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and yada yada yada. And then you have brands like this, Haval, particularly in the car that I'm in, the Haval H6 Hybrid. So Haval, if you don't already know, is under the GWM umbrella of brands that includes the likes of Tank and Way and such. So in Malaysia, we call it the GWM Haval, but in countries such as China, Haval is a standalone brand. But that aside, what I'm trying to say over here is that the Haval H6 Hybrid is a really impressive car. It's not a car that I've driven just recently. I've driven this car quite extensively, in fact. But this is the first time that I'm spending a couple of days with one. And wow, what a car. At 140,000 ringgit, it's about 50,000 ringgit cheaper than the likes of the Honda CR-V Hybrid. And I've had some of our followers here from the Piston Show messaging me, asking me which car is better and such. And I've got to say that I really like the Honda as well. But after spending a couple of days with this Haval H6 Hybrid, I kind of understand why the sales for this car is so brisk. I mean, you're saving 50,000 ringgit, and you're buying a rather decent car as well. And the thing about us, car journalists, is that we look for minor stuff. We look into the details of the cars and such. We look at how the car handles and feels, and then we, of course, articulate it back to you through our articles and our videos. However, the layman will come in here and he will just be very over the top, right? He'll just, wow, nice, huh? Very nice, huh? Wow, nice, huh? Got this, huh? Wow, wow, so spacious, huh? Seats also nice, huh? Black and white, huh? Wow, nice, huh? This is the regular person from the street. And why I'm saying this is that because yesterday, my mom stepped into this car and she's like, wow, what car is this? It's so nice. Wow. And I really don't like this rose gold trimming. And my wife and my mom were like, wow, this is really nice. Wow. And see, this is the effect that these car brands, Haval H6 Hybrid, particularly because that's the topic of this video, that's what this car is having, an impression that is leaving on people. And I really can't blame them because it's such a nice car, especially for 140,000 ringgit. I don't want to compare it against the CR-V Hybrid. Of course, if I do that, it's obviously apple to apple, hybrid versus hybrid. But at this price range, I'm compelled to compare it against the likes of the Proton X70, and a lot of you Proton fanboys may not like me for saying this, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, is that this may seem, to me at least, seems like a better buy than the Proton X70 and 140 grand. This is a very nice car. And why I'm saying that, so what makes it nice, right? I guess that's what we should talk about. Okay, let's start off with the interior. I've already said that this rose gold trimming annoys me because it's just too flash. I like my cars understated. I don't like them too loud and brash and such. I would have just preferred something silverish, or I hate to say this because I don't like piano black either, but if I have to choose between a lesser evil piano black or rose gold, I would choose piano black. And so yeah, piano black or any other color, but rose gold, bro. Tak boleh tahan. Anyway, I know I have another follower that has bought this car, and you know who I'm talking about. If you're watching this video, mega shout out. Thank you for all your messages. So anyway, this rose gold trimming, when the sun is shining bright and at a particular angle, it just, in Malay they say silau. It just blinds you and such. It's just way too loud for my liking. But besides that, the interior is really, really nice. It's a very nice place to be. It's spacious. It has all the makings of a good car. Every feature you want, name it, you have it. Check out the size of this panoramic roof, bro. Check out the size of this panorama. It's huge. It's big. So that aside, the next thing I want to talk about is the suspension of this car. Because from a driving perspective, Chinese cars almost certainly seem to mess up that department. Handling, comfort and such. So when it comes to suspension, Chinese cars are notorious for being too soft. And what does softish suspension do to you? It bobbles your head like that. And I hate that. Makes me feel nauseated. So that's what soft suspension does to you. You take a left-hander and it throws your head to the right. You take a right-hander and it throws your head to the left. God, silly. But apparently that's what the Chinese consumer likes. In China, you have big, open megaways. It's not even highways, it's megaways. There's so many lanes, right? So that's what, you hardly have corners and such. And so you can deal with the soft suspension. But here in Malaysia, our roads are small, and for example, if you're going to the East Coast, you have to go through the Karak Highway, 2 lanes, curvaceous, and if not the Karak Highway, then the Greek Road. You get what I mean, lah. So in that sense, I think the Malaysian consumer is a little bit more demanding when it comes to suspension settings. I know I am. And I like my suspension to be a little bit firmer, I want it to communicate with me, to tell me what's going on with the road. I want to feel every joint, every pothole. I want to feel it so I know what's going on with my car. I don't want to run over a pothole and not feel it and only realize later that I have a flat tire. If it's a bad pothole, of course I'm going to try my best to avoid it, but if I can't, I want to know how bad it is so I can sort of gauge what type of damage it has done to my car. So that's what I like about a properly tuned suspension, besides the performance aspect of it. So, but when it comes to Haval H6 Hybrid, I get that. It is a very nice suspension. In fact, I will even say this, that it's just borderline nudging the firmness aspect of the car, of the suspension setting. For some of you, it might be a little bit too firm, but for me, I really like it. So that, I think, in that sense, Haval has spot on with the suspension setting of this car. No complaints. In fact, this is the same suspension setting. Apparently, this is the same suspension setting that the Australians get as well. So I feel very connected to the car, the suspension. If I do this, if I just jerk the steering wheel just suddenly, the car responds instantaneously. In fact, I would say that GWM and Haval probably get their suspension tuning better than what Chery and Jaiku does with your cars. Particularly Chery, Jaiku not so much. Okay, that aside, the other thing that I have to talk about is the powertrain of this car. It is brilliant, fantastic, guys. Wow, right? So I picked up this car. What day is it today? Wednesday. I think I picked up this car Monday early morning or somewhere early afternoon. And I drove to Genting Sampah and I've been driving all over the place and such. I have a range of 670 kilometers. Still. And I'm not even at quarter tank yet. Not even at quarter tank. What the F? It's just simply super efficient. I'm so impressed by this car in terms of efficiency. I know the Honda CR-V Hybrid is also, there I go talking about the Honda CR-V again when I said I didn't want to. So anyway, the Honda CR-V Hybrid is also super efficient, but this is also brilliant. I mean, my average fuel consumption right now is 13 kilometers per liter, but I've seen 17 kilometers per liter as well. Fantastic. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw 20 plus kilometers per liter with the Honda CR-V. Anyway, I'm going to start talking about the CR-V. A wheel-to-wheel comparison is on the cards for sure to see which one is more efficient. I'll work on that later. Anyway, the other thing that I particularly like about this car, of course, is the powertrain, but it's the power delivery. 200 over PS, 243 PS, and 530 Newton meters of torque. If I put my right foot down, there's a gentle nudge, and I'm already at some very illegal speeds. But the good thing about this is that because it's combined to such a confidence-inspiring suspension setting, it just makes you feel very much in control of the car. And coming back from Genting Sampah a couple of days, just yesterday in fact, coming down Genting Sampah at between 140 to 160, testing the car, of course, and refinement, brilliant. You do get some wind noise and such, particularly around this A pillar, or is it C pillar? I can't remember right now. And particularly around this pillar over here, you do get some wind noise, and it's just not overbearing. It's bearable. And the other thing about this powertrain, besides the power delivery, besides the fuel efficiency, is the way that it works. So the electric motor does a lot of the heavy lifting. So when you are at regular speeds around town and such, it is the electric motor that is doing the propelling. At higher speeds, the engine comes into play. Of course, when the batteries are depleted, then the engine comes into play again and it recharges the battery. But interestingly, the Haval H6 Hybrid has one mode called the one pedal drive or single pedal drive, which is usually a mode that you'll find in electric cars. And that basically lets you accelerate and brake the car using the accelerator pedal alone. Of course, you have to use the brake in emergency situations or when you're coming to a stop from high speeds and such. But at regular around town driving, you can sort of just rely on the accelerator to accelerate and of course brake the car. And what this does is that when you lift off, it regenerates the batteries. Now, traditionally with hybrid cars, you only regenerate the battery when you're coming downhill or when you are stepping on the brakes. But not with the Haval H6 Hybrid, because as soon as you lift off, If you're in the single pedal drive mode, if you have that turned on, as soon as you lift off the accelerator pedal, it starts to regenerate the the batteries. And that just means that the batteries can regenerate quicker, and you can rely on the battery power, the battery charge, to sort of just give you propulsion. So the battery comes into play. The battery and the electric motor comes into play earlier, which makes this car a lot more efficient than your regular hybrids. So that, I think, deserves a special mention, because what Haval and GWM have done with the H6 Hybrid is truly, truly commendable. However, it's not all a bed of roses when it comes to the Haval H6. So yesterday, I took my wife out for dinner, and we were out in some dimly lit road, and there was a motorcycle that was sharing the road with us, and he was on the extreme left, well out of the way of my way actually, and there was no way that that motorcycle was even a threat, or there was nothing that could have happened for us to, for anything to lead to an accident. However, the car actually thought that we are going to crash, and guess what? It jammed on the brakes. It jammed on the brakes in the middle of the road. And that was just extremely, extremely dangerous. This automatic emergency braking, it sounds noble and all, but it can be really dangerous as well. So that is something that you also need to look out for when it comes to the Haval H6 Hybrid. It shouldn't be happening. I have heard of these things happening even with other car makers as well, but it's not something that should be happening at all. Now, the other thing that I find to be really annoying is that every time I turn the steering wheel, whether it's to a slight left or slight right, the camera comes on. And I've been trying to figure out how to turn it off. I think there's a way to turn it off. In fact, I hope there's a way to turn it off, but I can't seem to find it. So if you're a Haval H6 Hybrid owner and you figured this out, please leave a comment and let me know. Because I find this annoying simply because every time I'm relying on the GPS, and you're taking corners and such, and sometimes you rely on the GPS to tell you how many meters is left until you have to turn left or right. And then when you do turn the steering wheel, the camera comes on, and there's no, close button on the screen where you can just turn it off and look at the GPS again. So these are things that you need to look out for with the Haval H6 Hybrid. If you're considering the Haval H6, and these are things that you need to speak to the salesperson about. And if you own a Haval H6 Hybrid, let me know if this, especially the automatic emergency braking coming on when you're simply just minding your own business on the road, perhaps sharing the road with one more car. What happened last night was really bad, and I'm going to bring it up with GWM Malaysia actually, see what they say when I go return this car. So let's talk a little bit about the interior now. I'm going to show you around, and this is what I mean about this rose gold stuff. Ironically, the girls like it. My wife likes it. My mom likes it. These are the only two women I have in my life. So if you're a girl and you're watching this video, let me know what you think about this rose gold trimming around the car. And when we first drove this car during the media preview here in Malaysia, a lot of the motoring journalists were talking about this tanned leather that you get around here and around the seats, and particularly over here. It'll be interesting how it stands the test of time, particularly over here, because we lay our hand over here a lot, we rest our hand over here a lot to do our thing and such, or even when we are driving. So with this tanned leather interior, this might tend to get dirty along the way. And I've had a car with a tan leather interior before. I had it for 8 years, and by the end of the first year, it was already turning greyish. So if you're interested to get this car, this is something that you need to look out for. So one of the things that you can do is either lay a towel around it. That is the most cheapskate way that you can do, that you can live with it. Or the other thing that you can do is retrim this part over here into black color and such. This might just cost you 1,000 ringgit or less. So that's just something that you can do to make it easier to live with the Haval H6 Hybrid over the long term. Now this beige trimming over here, well, if you have the Haval H6 Hybrid and you've been living with the car for a couple of months now, let me know how this goes. Besides that, the overall ambience in this car, the overall quality is great. The layout is fantastic. The reason why I say that is because you get physical buttons, guys. Physical buttons. These are all your key controls over here, on, off, AC and such. But to adjust the blower settings is still over here. But it's not so bad because you get these 3 menus over here, and you can do this as well, and you get ventilated seats, and this is your drive modes. So it's very easy access. You don't have to dive deep into the menu, just like you have to do with some of the other Chinese brands. So this I appreciate, even though I would like it to be even more simplified, like what you get in some of the Japanese marques. But this, for me, is good enough, and much better, in fact, than some of the Chinese cars. Now, this instrument cluster over here, the thing about Chinese car makers is that they like to overcomplicate simple things. Now, this instrument cluster, I just want to know the speed, I want to know the range, I want to know simple stuff. But it's telling me so many things. It's telling me that I'm stationary. It's telling me that, you know, the system is ready. It's got so many things going on that it takes some getting used to. But to Haval's credit, it's not very difficult. It's just, it takes some time, but once you figure out where everything is, it's easy to live with. You also get a heads-up display. It's colorized, and that just gives you the very basic information of speed. Brilliant. Now, in terms of comfort, the seat is nice, spaciousness is nice, the steering wheel has a nice angle to it, so it makes it feel very great, very good in your hands, and the overall comfort levels are really good. The seat just grips you, just sort of hugs you in just the right manner. And I have no complaints as far as the interior goes. And just for your information, this is how you change gears. And it doesn't sort of, you know, it doesn't have a leveling spring in it, so it just sort of does this. So it has an infinity spin to it. So anyway, the interior is quite nice. Now we go check out the back seats. Now the thing about the Haval H6 Hybrid is that we knew it's a very spacious car when I first drove it as well. And it's something that I really appreciate, because at 140,000 ringgit, this is a car that is very easy to live with, especially with your family. If you're single and you're buying an SUV, I think you got to reassess your choices in life. But in that sense, if you're buying this car for your family and such, you'll find that spaciousness, quality, and overall finish is brilliant. You get twin air conditioning vents, you get twin USB ports. What else could you want in a SUV? You get everything in the Haval H6 Hybrid. Overall spaciousness extends to the back as well. Now, this is a very usable boot space. The seats full flat as well, giving it a level of convenience that you would expect of an SUV, particularly of this price range. But unfortunately, you do not get a spare wheel. You do, however, get a electronic tire pump, so you have to do the fixing by yourself. For me, that's a bit of a bummer. So a spare wheel would be very important. For example, the Jaiku J7 has a full-size spare wheel, which is convenient, especially when you're going out with your family and such, and you spring, a leak on your tire, and having a full-size spare wheel just makes it a lot more convenient, a lot more safer, because the last thing you want is to be broken down by the side of the at the side of the highway with no spare wheel. I like this tonneau cover as well. So the engine is a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged unit that sounds very regular. By itself, it makes 150 PS and 230 Newton meters of torque, which in the regular sense, it's plenty already. But there's also an electric motor, as I've mentioned, somewhere at the back or over here. And this electric motor provides a further 243 PS and 530 Newton meters of torque. At low speeds, the electric motor is the one that moves the car. And depending on the situation, the topography of the land and the speed of the car, the engine comes into play later. The system decides when the engine comes into play. The total system output is a 243 PS and 530 Newton meters of torque. And that, my friends, is good enough to give the Haval H6 Hybrid a 0 to 100 acceleration time of 7.7 seconds. But this powertrain is designed for efficiency. It's not designed for pure performance. Though you can cruise at 140 and 160 kilometers per hour quite comfortably, this is a powertrain that is better designed to take you further with an interior that is quite comfortable. And it does that rather well. So should you spend your hard-earned money on the Haval H6 Hybrid? I think the real question over here is why not? Because at 140,000 ringgit, it checks all the boxes. It has everything that you need. Even on a safety perspective, it has, well, again, everything. It has 6 airbags, a rather clear 360-degree camera. It has quite a complete system of advanced driver aid systems that includes automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, traffic jam assist, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot detection, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, emergency lane keeping, traffic sign recognition, rear cross traffic. There's a lot, right, of safety systems at play over here. And even from a design perspective, it's a good looking car, particularly in the shade of, I want to say, light baby blue-ish. It's a good looking car, no doubt about it, and those contrasting 19-inch wheels sit very nicely with the overall color and design of the car. At 140k, it's very difficult to argue against the Haval H6 Hybrid, because it's quite a big car. It's spacious, it's comfortable, it drives really well, and it's super fuel efficient. But the cherry on the cake is the warranty that it offers. It comes with a 10-year vehicle warranty, 10-year or 1 million kilometer warranty on the vehicle, and the 8-year or 1 million kilometer warranty on the powertrain. So how can you argue against the Haval H6 Hybrid? Because it has everything, even a complete warranty that is almost unheard of from the legacy car makers here in Malaysia. So the Haval H6 Hybrid should not be seen as a car that is just stealing sales from the legacy car makers. It should be seen as the car that is pushing the legacy car makers to do better. As a car, the Haval H6 Hybrid has a lot to offer, and if you're wondering whether you should spend 140k on the Haval H6 Hybrid, the answer is yes, you should. Thank you for watching, guys. Do consider subscribing.